In today's lesson, we're going to focus on configuring wireless security on your home wireless router. The router we're going to use is WRT350N, which is capable of supporting the IEEE 802.11n specification. All of the specifications will be talked about in another video. We're going to configure the Linksys WRT350N, and we're going to make it nice and secure by applying security and showing you the different things what you must change in order to make your Linksys device or any wireless router safe from unwanted attacks. So what we've got is our Linksys WRT350N plugged directly into our computer, that hardwired with a straight through cable, and I'm just going to put in an IP config from the command prompt just to check that I've got an IP address on the same network range. By default, the IP address of the Linksys router is 192.168.1.1. So we're just going to try and ping that. So ping 192.168.1.1 just to verify I've got connectivity. As you see there, I get a reply. So we're just going to pop out of there. In a web browser, we're just going to put the same IP address in, so 192.168.1.1, and it prompts us for username and password. By default, the username is anything, or it can be left blank, and the password is admin. So we're just going to type admin in there, and that brings us up to the basic setup page. Now, because everybody knows the default IP addresses, the default passwords for these devices, it's very easy for someone to come in and sort of hack into your network or change your settings on your wireless device. So one of the very first things what we need to do is to actually change the password on the router. To do this, what we do is we go to the administration section, and you'll see in here there is a password option which is in there. So at the moment that's set as admin. I'm going to change ours to something nice and simple, to like password, and you would change it to something a little bit more secure, obviously. Now another option here is it says web utility access via wireless. A good security measure is to disable that. That means if someone is actually, next door or driving around in a car looking for wireless access, then they won't be able to connect to this management application via wireless. They would have to hardwire into your wireless router, so they would have to actually be in your home. So that makes it nice and secure. So all we're going to do is press save changes there, and that should have changed the password. Because we've changed the password, it's going to prompt us again for the password. So this time I'm going to type password in there instead of admin, which was the default, and there we go, I'm back into the router. So that's one of the key things what we need to change, the default password on the integrated services router, whichever make or model it might be. Now, after we've actually done that, what we're going to look at is wireless settings. So if we click on wireless, you'll see we'll get taken to the wireless basic settings. Now by default, the SSID which is needed to connect to any wireless network is set to Linksys. Now everybody knows that that's the case, that they know that's the default SSID, so it's again a good idea to change this. So I'm going to change this to my home. That would be changed to something suitable for you, obviously. We're also going to have a look at changing the SSID broadcast. That's really important. If someone's sitting outside your house and want to hack into your network, this name will be broadcast every so often, whatever the polling setting is, and they would then be able to see your wireless network and then attempt to hack it or whatever else. So if we disable that, we should stop the ability for the actual name of the network being broadcast out to anyone in the vicinity. It does mean that we do have to remember this name and type it in manually when we're configuring our wireless clients, but that's just one small administration step to give us quite a lot of security. The other thing we're going to look at is wireless security. This is the main part really of securing your integrated router, and at the moment you see it's disabled, so we've got an open network, anyone can connect as long as they know the SSID. They can just connect to our network and gain access to our internet. At the moment it's disabled. We've got some options, WPA, which is the weakest of the encryption protocols, right the way up, and these get basically the lower down the list the better, apart from obviously being disabled. So what we're going to use is a protocol called WPA Personal. Enterprise, you would need like a radius server or something connected to it, but for personal use we're going to use WPA Personal. When I click on WPA Personal, we have a couple of options in there. Now the options that we've got available to us are TKIP or AES. Now with AES you do need a coprocessor and you do need a compatible wireless client. So you would have to have a compatible wireless client to be able to use AES. Now the passphrase what we're going to use has to be 8 to 32 characters long. So I'm just going to put in my network password, and then this is how often the key gets renewed. So it's like every 3,600 seconds. So I'm going to press save there. I've got to remember that password when I'm connecting to the wireless access point. So my network password is what I've got to use for mine. So save settings. Settings are saved successfully. That's it, we're on to the next step. One of the last things I'm going to show you now is another security method what we can use, which is something called MAC address filtering. Now at the moment any device with a MAC address and a wireless card can access our Linksys integrated router, but we can set something up called wireless MAC filter. Now if we go to the wireless MAC filter settings, we'll see at the moment that it's actually disabled. If I enable this, I can say permit PCs in the list below to access our wireless network. Now this is great because what I can do is I can find out the MAC address of the devices in my home and actually type them in here, and that would mean that only the MAC addresses in this list would be able to use the access point, again adding security to us. So if to find the MAC address, all I would do is go to a command prompt, type in ipconfig /all, and you'll see the physical address should be listed, which is here. So all I would do is I would type this number in, which is the laptop I'm on at the moment, and then this laptop would be able to access the access point if it was in this list. For now I'm just going to disable it for the purpose, but that is what you would do if you were to enable MAC address filtering on your router. Okay, to summarise then what we've gone through is we looked at the 5 key things that must be changed on your integrated services router. They were the default Linksys password from the administration area. By default it is admin, everybody knows it, and we can just change that quite simply. The default SSID, by default the name is Linksys. You need to change it so it's something unique to your organisation or to your home. The SSID broadcast setting is enabled by default, so it's broadcasting that name out every so often. So what we need to do is change that to disabled so that we just have to type it in manually. It just means that someone looking for a wireless network won't be able to see you unless they already know your unique SSID. The last thing we looked at was wireless security, and that included encryption options such as WEP, WPA, WPA2, TKIP and AES, which needed the coprocessor, as I said during this short video. The authentication, that was the passphrase, must be between 8 and 36 characters long. And we've finally looked at MAC address filtering, which is a great little tool where we can add the MAC addresses of only the devices which we need to access our access point. I hope this has helped you understand wireless security, and thanks for listening.